All right, we're still talking about non-duality, a perennial question in the world of A Course in Miracles. Maybe we should take a step back and just define non-duality for a moment. What is non-duality? There are different forms of non-duality. As I pointed out in my previous video, Ken Wapnick speaks of A Course in Miracles as presenting a pure or perfect non-dual metaphysics. He uses those terms, pure or perfect, meaning that God is the only reality, nothing else exists, there's nothing apart from God. Any question that we could ask here, any concept that we have, any understanding that is based in the world of perception or from within the illusion is not answerable because we cannot understand it from where we are right now. All we can do is prepare the way, so to speak, for grace to come and reveal the experience of what it is. And the Course is presenting a path to do that. So what is non-duality? On a very basic definition would be, it means not two. Reality is not two. There's not two things. For example, there's not God and a separate universe. There's not God and Satan. There is not God and ego. There is not love and fear. There is not anything except for a oneness joined as one, as Jesus puts it. It's a oneness joined as one, or as the Upanishads say, it is one without an opposite, one without a second. So on this definition, I don't see what people how anyone has a problem with the word non-duality. Because I think everyone in the world of A Course in Miracles, including Robert Perry, the Circle of Atonement, they would agree that we're talking about a oneness. We're talking about a not two-ness. Now, what I understand Robert Perry and those who do not think that A Course is non-dualistic, what they're getting at is, yes, there is a oneness, there is a wholeness, there is a completeness in heaven, or in you could say the realm of God. But there is still a distinction between God, Christ, the sons of God, the Holy Spirit. These are all still distinct entities. They're still individual, separate realities on some level, even though there is a oneness. And I think that's the core of the dispute, of the where people basically differ. Now, I'm just going to say, very, very simply, call it what I think it is, which is we all believe what we want to believe. Because that's the way we want it to be. So if we want to have some separation between ourselves and God and Christ and the Holy Spirit, and we like that idea, and let's just say we do not, our bias is not based in, unfortunately, it's not based necessarily in the truth, because we don't know what the truth is. It's based on what we want it to be. What I heard Robert Perry saying in his video, and Emily, his wife, saying in the video that they did on non-duality, is that, they kind of came out and said it, and I think it's under what they're saying as well, which is that we do not like this idea of there's only pure awareness. Heaven is a state of complete oneness without opposite, no distinctions, no separate entities. Even though they're all one, they like the idea that there's some kind of individuality. There's some kind of distinction still. And then they say that, well, dualists like their point of view. But what I think we're trying to get at is to transcend our bias here and really base what we're saying in what A Course in Miracles is saying, what Jesus is saying in the Course. That's really what we're trying to get at. It doesn't matter to transcend your bias, you have to say, I am completely open to what the truth is. It's not what I want, or it's not what my preference is. It is what is really being said, right? So let's not let those accusations of, well, you guys just, you non-dualists, that's what you want to believe. Or you like Ken Wapnick, so you're following what he says. And then the non-dualists say back, no, you guys are just, afraid of non-dualism. You want to have your cake and eat it too. Again, what I've said before is there's probably I definitely want to put on the table that I think that it could be true. We'd have to really look at it, that in heaven there is a perfect oneness and everything is still there. There's the individual identities, but there's also the wholeness and the oneness that transcends the identities. So in a sense, it could be true that you can have your cake and eat it too, right? Now and that is not pure non-dualism. That's possible, absolutely possible. This is where we need to really, look at this. In the end, though, I don't know if we're going to have an answer because I don't know if Jesus is clear enough in A Course in Miracles so that we could say one way or another. And he says, don't let theology delay you, right? Do not let theology delay you. Seek only the experience. Delay is of the ego. Don't get caught up in theological wrangling, because what does that tend to do? It tends to create a separation between you and your brother. You say no, you're wrong, I'm right, and that is a delay, because what is the Course in Miracles but a way to accept your brother completely for everything, even the thing that you think is the most outrageous. Like that they're completely not getting A Course in Miracles and you are. Let's read a little bit. The ego, this is from Clarification of Terms. Jesus says the ego will demand many answers that this Course does not give. The Course does not give the answer to what we're talking about. Jesus does not spell out for us what heaven looks like. He doesn't go into detail. He hints at it. But words are still, all language is still dualistic. It's still in time and space. How can we understand through words what it is? The ego will demand, and you could even say logic. Logic is also a linear process that is in time and space. How can logic and reason even be considered to be valuable here in what we're talking about? The ego will demand many answers that this course does not give. It does not recognize as questions the mere form of a question to which an answer is impossible. The ego may ask, how did the impossible occur? To what did the impossible happen? And may ask this in many forms. Yet there is no answer, only an experience. Seek only this and do not let theology delay you. And then it also says, who asked you to define the ego and explain how it arose can be but he who thinks it real and seeks by definition to ensure that its elusive nature is concealed behind the words that seem to make it so. There is no definition for a lie that serves to make it true. Let's read another passage. The journey that we undertake together is the exchange of dark for light, of ignorance for understanding. Nothing you understand is fearful. It is only in darkness and in ignorance that you perceive the frightening. What do you want? Light or darkness, knowledge or ignorance are yours, but not both. As darkness disappears in light, so ignorance fades away when knowledge dawns. To God, unknowing is impossible. It is therefore not a point of view at all, but merely a belief in something that does not exist. It is only this belief that the unknowing have, and by it they are wrong about themselves. They have defined themselves as they were not created. One more thing that we can just talk about is that Ken says here. I'll just paraphrase what he says. All words and concepts are still of the mind, of the egoic mind, from the place of separation, from the place of within the dream, within the illusion. Terms such as Christ, God, Holy Spirit, Son of God, these are all seemingly distinct, right? When we learn A Course in Miracles, we obviously need to use language and we need to use words to get at something beyond them. Words are symbols, symbols of symbols, as Jesus says. They point to a reality beyond the words, beyond the concepts. What that reality is, we do not know from where we are. But Jesus, this is where trust comes in. Major trust is, do you believe that whoever is presenting A Course in Miracles is speaking the truth? And if you do, then that voice that gave A Course in Miracles, which Helen understood to be Jesus, but I think is probably more correct to say it was perfect love that was coming through her, the perfect love that we all are, that was presenting a way back to that perfect love. Because what can love do except offer love? And there also always has to be a way, if you believe that that's true, love always has to show the way. Because what else can love do? and so it's pointing the way, but it cannot bring you to it. You have to do the work to release what is in the way. Now, a basic question we could ask is, well, why can't love just take it away? That, why do I have to do all this practice, this inner work? Why couldn't love just remove it all? But the thing is, it can. It can remove it like that, right? And some of us have had that experience. I had an experience like that when I was 19, where one night my heart opened. I was lying in bed, my heart opened, and I was back in living in my body still, in the world, but I was at home. I had no issues whatsoever. Nothing was in the way of feeling completely at home and feeling that everything was love. So that is possible, and it happens. It's happening now as we speak to many people on planet Earth. So just to summarize this video, we could say that, first of all, I think we can all agree on a certain level that A Course in Miracles is non-dualistic, in the sense that it is pointing to a reality of perfect oneness. That means, what is non-dual? Non-dual means not two. Okay, so not two means one, right? It does not have duality. And from the very beginning of the Course, Jesus says, love has no opposite. In this world, the world of perception, the opposite of love is fear. But in reality, love has no opposite. Love encompasses all, has no opposite. There's no fear anymore, right? That was never ever real. The fear is basically ego. The ego is non-existent. Duality is non-existent. So in that sense, I think we can agree that A Course in Miracles is non-dualistic. But where there's discrepancy, or where there is debate, is whether there is any distinction or differentiation in God, which I think that idea scares people, because it seems to be saying that there is no separate self anymore. And who wants to have a reality where there's no separate self? That's no fun. That's scary, actually. It's not just that it's not fun, but it's scary. And it would seem to be boring as well. It's like, why the hell would I want to be in undifferentiated oneness with God? That seems to be very boring and very off-putting. But again, reality is what it is. Doesn't matter whether we like it or not, necessarily. On the other hand, we can say there's no cruelty in God. And if the Son wants a reality in which we feel completely at home and completely in love, and that's what Jesus seems to be saying that it is, then on some level we have to accept that that's what it is. Whether it means that there's a separate selfhood in heaven, some kind of separate selfhood, or no separate selfhood, I think what Jesus is saying, it's still a place of unconditional love. So I think these are the things we can agree upon. The God is love. God is unconditional love. It doesn't matter what it looks like, because the end is going to be the same. It's going to be home. So, that's why these theological disputes tend to become egoic. Like, I know better, or this is what I want it to be, and this is what I'm going to promote, and I'm going to make other people wrong. And I really do think that it becomes a matter of making someone else wrong in order for you to be right. And I think that's what we need to be vigilant against, because that's what A Course in Miracles is about, is trying to make someone else wrong in order to be right. Rather than to just say it. I mean, we could talk about these things, we can argue about these things, but we can do it in a way that is not denigrating of the other. Right? Just say, I see how you see that, and this is what I think this is saying from what I'm seeing. Right? We don't need to put each other down. We don't need to fight, and we don't need to belittle or denigrate each other. And I think that's what has happened, unfortunately. Although I say unfortunately, but everything is serving its purpose. Everything is bringing us back. We feel when we get into the judgment, we feel the weight of the judgment, and we ask ourselves, do I want this judgment or do I want to let this go? And then we try to find a way to let the judgment go. And I think what I'm trying to present here is a way to honor everyone's point of view and not get into the factionalism and the schisms, but just say, yeah, there's things that we can all agree upon. The experience is what we can agree upon, not the theology. Let's not let theology detain us. Let nothing detain us. Anyway, thanks for listening. I could do a video every day for the rest of my life on this topic. I'm sure we'd have more to say. I'm enjoying what people are sharing, and I thank you for listening. Always feel free to leave a comment or suggestion or question or thought or anything else. Namaste.